district, sites that he says could also be turned into affordable housing with the help of public-private partnerships.
It's going to really change people's life. It's really going to really change the community.
Father Richard Estrada is president of Jóvenes, a nonprofit focused on battling youth homelessness. Their headquarters also sits adjacent to one of those city-owned parcels on East Pleasant Avenue.
The city is recommending a transfer of this property to Jóvenes so that it can further expand its housing capacity and create a very special and supportive campus-like environment.
And we need it. On top of the estimated 1 in 5 LA Community College students who are homeless, LA County has experienced a 64% increase in youth homelessness over the past year. I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Finance partners like Genesis LA and Restore Neighborhoods LA are helping to push these affordable housing projects forward. Well, what's being done to reduce food waste? Well, Gil Reyes reports on progress made by the city, state, and everyday Angelenos during Food Day LA.
Okay. Want to save money and supply food for Angelenos? A new state program allows tax breaks for people who turn their property into urban farms.
It can save property owners in Los Angeles close to $2,000 a year just for allowing food to be grown there.
This is per household?
Per household. If you have a vacant property that does not have anything on it, and if you want to save some money, get some food growers to come and grow some food and apply for the city's program.
It's one of several food-saving strategies discussed at Food Day LA outside City Hall.
And to also recognize our good food champions one more time.
Honorees include the group LA Compost. Using bicycle sifters is one way they turn food waste into fertilizer.
So we need to be in the business as policymakers to support our entrepreneurs, and that's what this is all about as well.
If you care about issues like social justice and equity, you have to care about food as well, because the two are inextricably linked.
Activists behind the recent legalization of growing food at LA City public housing sites are also honored.
How important it is for people, public housing residents that are very low-income residents of Los Angeles to be able to grow food in their front lawns and their back lawns of their units.
And efforts towards a zero food waste goal are extending all the way to LA City Hall. We are at the second floor of City Hall, home to Homeboy Diner and home to this brand new food waste bin.
We're taking any food waste, which is basically meats, cheeses, bread, dairy, any basically food waste, fruits and vegetables, of course, and we're taking it over to an anaerobic digester out in Paris, California, and it gets converted into natural gas.
South LA City Council member Marquise Harris Dawson says more can be done to provide food for low-income Angelenos, like allowing more EBT government benefit money transfers.
We've done that at farmers markets. We need to make sure small restaurants and small markets have access as well, so that more and more people have access to healthy foods in their neighborhoods.
From Food Day LA outside City Hall, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Well, just one day of volunteering can change an entire community. And now a new outlook for 2 public housing developments in Watts as community members and volunteers go in with a few cleaning and painting tools in hand. Anna Marcos has more.
This is one busy work site. The workers, all volunteers, are painting, sweeping, raking, weeding, cleaning, and carting in wheelbarrows full of dirt.
The dirt had been brought in so that everything is staged and ready to go so that our crew could just dig in, build these boxes, put really good dirt in here so that the residents can grow vegetables.
We really worked with the community. They've identified exercise equipment, so we've installed some exercise equipment.
Kaiser Permanente and its workers are doing a community volunteer workday at the Nickerson Gardens and Imperial Courts housing developments to beautify the neighborhood. Even the doctors are shedding surgical gloves for a shovel and paintbrush.
We see patients all the time that are plagued by problems in their community, social issues in the community, not having a nice, healthy place to stay and to live. And there can be nothing more important than a secure place to live and something that makes you really enjoy life.
This is just one of those things that truly brings joy to a community, to really bring something healthy, positive.
And it's a great activity and we all enjoy it. And what else do we have to do on Saturday morning?
The residents say all the volunteerism and beautification have already changed the neighborhood.
When other people come to volunteer and help build and beautify our community, we have no objection, nothing else but to get out and say, let's go help the volunteers.
Who would have thought that a place to plant vegetables, a spiffier playground, and painted awnings could make such a difference to the neighborhood spirit? I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Kaiser Permanente does several of these projects a year in Southern California. The transgender community gets set for its biggest local job fair of the year. Gil Reyes reports on some of the obstacles trans people face when looking for employment and the help they're receiving in breaking barriers.
He is now she and is looking to land a job. This may be tougher than you think.
How do we integrate into society? And of course, we don't want to hide our own uniqueness of being trans because we're here and we're not going anywhere.
Activist Queen Victoria Ortega helps transgender job seekers get ready for an important hiring fair. 50 top companies will be there, pledging to hire qualified transgender applicants. The city's Transgender Advisory Council and other partners lend a hand.
Focusing on interviewing skills, preparing for the resume, attire.
For those not part of this community, you may be shocked to discover how difficult it can be to land a job. The National Transgender Discrimination Survey found that unemployment among transgender people is twice as high as that of the general population.
Discrimination is just one of the hurdles.
We could start off as something basic that most individuals won't have to worry, is your identification, your name. We have to legally change our name and gender.
People transitioning usually have to pay $450 to the state to officially change their name and gender, and also have to be extra careful when choosing references, as they may have known them under a previous identity.
Call them up and talk to them first before you put their name on as a reference, and if they feel comfortable with that, then you're good to go. But if the person doesn't respond positively or the way that you want, then I would suggest going to a different place.
Continue to come to the resource fairs, stay connected with community, keep going out, keep doing what you're doing, because even showing up is a great step forward, because sometimes it's difficult just to leave the house.
Helping to even the playing field for transgender job seekers. At LA Trade Tech College, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Top companies looking to hire include Hulu, 20th Century Fox, and the LAPD. The job fair takes place on Thursday, November 9th at West Hollywood Park Auditorium at 625 North San Vicente. An exhibition helps revive the past and bring to life art that was censored throughout the LA area. Art that represented Chicano artists. Rasha Goel has more.
This Murales Rebeldes, La Chicano y Chicana Murals Under Siege exhibition represents not only the artistic talents of their creators, but the significance of artwork that was destroyed, removed, and whitewashed because of their narrative.
But the story that it tells here is the important role that those murals played in giving power and identity to a community, and how that voice was taken away when those murals were erased, essentially.
I think it's inspiring to see the next generation of artists and what this work means for the future. You know what I mean? To see how their work has vanished, for the meaning that their work has placed, but what it means for the future of us as the next generation of Latino artists.
The exhibition is on display at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes in downtown LA and features 8 murals from the 1970s. There are photos, remnants, and sketches left from some of those murals. Among the artists was Erenia Cervantes from Orange County, whose mural was whitewashed.
I think it's really unfortunate, very unfortunate, because, you don't see that many murals like that, especially in that area of Orange County.
Barbara Carrasco, whose mural has been in storage for over 2 decades, finally gets a chance to share her vision at Union Station. She had been asked to remove some images from her historical depiction of the city, and she refused to.
I was just surprised that they would object to basic history. I was 26 when I started it, And I was very, very surprised.
And the fact that they are being destroyed and aren't protected the way they should be means a lot about what people think about our culture, right? Because if they're not being preserved, then what does that say to our culture? It's not being preserved either.
But through this exhibition, those lost pieces are now revived and parts of historic visions that can be shared. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The exhibition at La Plaza de Cultura runs through February. And another exhibit in Hollywood showcases even more Latino culture, specifically their contributions to movie history. The Latinos in Hollywood exhibit offers a few movie history lessons, even for city leaders. Ana Marcos has more.
She is Mexican. Really?
LA City Controller Ron Galperin is having his mind blown after finding out the late movie star Rita Hayworth had Mexican blood. And here's another mind blower.
Wonder Woman, yeah. Really? Yes, yes. Huh.
Yes, the original Wonder Woman Linda Carter also hails from south of the border. The Latinos in Hollywood exhibit and party was full of juicy morsels of Tinseltown's Hispanic legacy.
Latinos have played an overall very, very positive and pivotal part of history by inventing photo paper on which these photographs are now part of history. We also, Mexicans invented color TV.
The exhibit is now in its 4th year, and it also provides a great reason to throw a fiesta put on by Latino Heritage LA.
And as we all know, Latino heritage is Los Angeles heritage. Los Angeles heritage is Latino heritage.
But in spite of the party atmosphere, there is also a serious reason for the exhibit.
Being in this industry is really difficult, no matter who you are, but it has been quite difficult for Latinos to stay up front 100%. We do find a lot of Latinos in front of the camera, but we need more Latinos who are calling the shots.
But in this exhibit, at least, Hollywood Latinos are front and center and calling the shots. I'm Ana Marcos for LA This Week.
And of course, there was Latin jazz, salsa, and dancing afterward. In South LA, a Mexican tradition celebrating death was so lively you could feel it in your bones. Gil Reyes reports from Dia De Los Muertos festivities, where one council member really got into the spirit.
On Day of the Dead, we saw a different side to South LA Council member Curran Price.
We're here at South Park in the 9th District celebrating Dia De Los Muertos. It's an exciting celebration, and it's a family event. Face painting, things for kids and adults. So it's just a lot of fun.
Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, traditionally takes place on November 2nd. But here in LA, the Mexican custom dating back thousands of years can sometimes last throughout the month. It's a time to honor loved ones who've passed away. People build altars adorned with bread, marigold flowers, and photos of the dearly departed. Latin R&B, cumbia, Mexican mariachi, and Cuban changui kept the party spirited.
They've got folks up moving and dancing. We're excited about that.
Music so pumping, it was enough to raise the dead. From Dia De Los Muertos in South Park in South Los Angeles, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
November 2nd may have passed, but Dia de los Muertos lives on as more than 100 painters pay homage to the dearly departed through most of November. Gil Reyes shows us their curious work from Plaza de la Raza.
Check out El Velorio, a 3-week Dia de los Muertos exhibit taking place at Plaza de la Raza in Lincoln Park. Curator Antonio Pelayo launched the annual event in 2009 to help expose the works of up-and-coming artists.
And what happened this year, I decided to give a wooden coffin to every single artist and have every single artist, give their own interpretation of Day of the Dead, with the theme of this year of 3 skulls.
The 3 skulls representing music, art, and culture. 110 artists are featured. Money raised on opening night will benefit Plaza de la Raza. The center offers after-school arts education and mentorship programs for East Side youth.
As a child, I came to the Plaza de la Raza and took lessons here as a kid, from music to art and things like that. So it's good to come back here and represent with other artists.
Trickles down to the youth and gives those in upcoming artistic
genres hope to maybe be featured. This is my first time, so I'm very excited to be part of this.
El Velorio runs through November 25th. At Plaza de la Raza, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
There was a charge to attend opening night festivities, but the exhibit is now free. Check it out at Plaza de la Raza at 3540 North Mission Road in Lincoln Park. Well, downtown's historic theaters can now be seen in a whole new light. The city goes pink to raise awareness for breast cancer research, and volunteers help make LA greener and cooler. All these stories in City Beat. Councilmember Jose Huizar and his Bringing Back Broadway initiative hosted a tour of 9 historic buildings along Broadway, once the entertainment and retail capital of LA, to highlight Bringing Back Broadway's recently completed Broadway facade lighting program. The program provided major classic lighting upgrades through a $750,000 grant. The lighting program transformed the Bradbury Building, $1 Million Theater, David Gray Building, and others. Councilmember Neri Martinez recently recognized the Pink Patch Project with a gathering outside City Hall. The Pink Patch Project is a collaborative effort between the LA County Chiefs Association and public safety agencies across the nation to raise awareness and raise funds for breast cancer research. This past year, the organization raised $325,000 across the nation, with a majority of the funds going to City of Hope. So far, 250 agencies nationwide have partnered with the Pink Patch Project, with the majority of them being in LA County.
This issue affects the entire family when someone's affected by cancer. So this is just another way of our law enforcement agencies coming together to promote Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Our goal is to raise awareness and find a cure for cancer because everybody has a story to tell.
The community and the Department of Rec and Parks came out recently to plant 54 trees at Lincoln Park. Officials will be planting more than 350 trees in 8 parks throughout East LA. Officials say many trees have been lost over the years for various reasons. The new trees will help cool down the city and make the parks more enjoyable for years to come.
And so it's really important that we team up with Rec and Parks to help them start the replanting process so that our kids can have a city just as green and beautiful as the one that our parents gave us.
Pico Union is a park-poor area of the city with a lack of trees and green spaces. But the neighborhood just got a jolt of green power as neighborhood groups, a business, and the City Council District 1 office gave it a little tree therapy. Ana Marcos takes us there.
It takes some elbow grease to pound some 50 trees and their support poles into the ground, but it's about to make this Pico Union neighborhood shadier, prettier, and more earth-friendly.
So what's this like?
What's this like? It's very fun, very proactive.
But I see that it's also very hard.
You may call it hard, but I don't. It's just a little bit of extra work, that's it.
The tree planting, a joint project by the Koreatown Youth and Community Center, the city, and the Doubletree Hilton, which provided the laborers. These hotel workers by day have now turned volunteer earth huggers and tree planters.
You know, it's really good feeling when, you know, you're helping a community to go green and, getting rid of all these emissions.
So it's worth all that sweat I see on your face?
It's worth all that sweat, yeah, of course.
We are a little low on green space in this community of Pico Union. So for us, the council member, is very important to start planting more trees.
And it touches your heart because you know you're making a difference.
These volunteers are greening the neighborhood, but they're not the only ones. One longtime resident has been planting a lot of the trees that you already see in this neighborhood for years.
Jorge Alvarez not only plants trees, he waters them regularly.
And I really wish in my heart if somebody can feel the how good it is, take care of something with the God gives to us. Together we got like a bond, the tree and the person, we are bound together.
Planting trees is modeling the future. You establish a foundation, you establish roots, and once those roots go down, you're never telling what's going to grow up and cover this community with safety and with shade and with hope.
It looks like hope in this corner of Pico Union will soon bloom and bear plenty of fruit. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The Koreatown Youth and Community Center, which helped run the event, also runs events for trash, litter, and bulky item pickup, weed abatement, tree maintenance, and more. Let's celebrate our war veterans aboard the battleship Iowa, explore popular movie locations during a downtown LA scavenger hunt, and hit the ground running for a good cause. All this in this week's Things to Do. Battleship Iowa and Black Knight Patrol present the second annual Veterans Day Music Festival. So get on board and help thank all those who served with a good time on the harbor. Admission to the festival is free and all are welcome. Activities include an opening ceremony honoring veterans with colors, wreath, and local elected officials including Councilman Joe Buscaino, live music, food, and carnival games. It all takes place November 11th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the Battleship Iowa in San Pedro. Join Wesson Adventures on a unique movie-themed scavenger hunt. Discover a thrilling mix of LA's new and old as you visit locations featured in such films as Speed, Wedding Crashers, LA Story, Pretty Woman, Vertigo, Raging Bull, and Beverly Hills Cop. You'll explore the artwork of Pershing Square, the sights around the Central Library, strange figures outside a classic movie palace, the Grand Central Market, the stunning Bradbury Building, and much more. It all happens November 11th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Pershing Square. For more, visit watsonadventures.com. Come on out for the 10th annual Heroes of Hope Race for Brain Tumor Research. The amazing day includes a fast and flat 5K, 10K, and I Dance for a Cure Kids Fun Run, plus Kids Zone, Wellness Expo, food and drinks galore. Thousands are expected to participate in the event, including runners and walkers, and guest appearances by professional athletes, brain tumor survivors, prominent healthcare professionals, and celebrities, all in the name of finding a cure. It all takes place Sunday, November 12th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Dockweiler State Beach in Playa del Rey. For more, visit wizathon.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head. What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 7th. I want to welcome you to City Hall and your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Madam Clerk, we can begin today with our presentation portion. I'm waiting for another member to have a quorum, so I'd like to recognize Mr. Koretz. Mr. Koretz? Mr. Paul Koretz for your presentation. Floor is yours, Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we have the tremendous privilege of honoring this gentleman here, who is without a doubt one of the most colorful, one of the most productive, one of the most dynamic leaders in our region, Eric Bauman.
Let's give Eric a round of applause.
Eric has just stepped down from the position he's held for 17 years as chair of the LA County Democratic Party to accept the chairmanship of the state Democratic Party. He has done an amazing job, as any of us that have had anything to do with the Democratic Party know. To be a member of the LA County Democratic Party is an elected position, and you have to run in your assembly district and get elected by the people. I first did that in 1974, so I've watched this for over 40 years. And while it's been an important organization and it helps endorse on behalf of the Democratic Party and help out candidates a little bit, it was not the powerhouse that it is now until Eric Bauman came along and did what I would have told anyone else was impossible. I mean, previous to Eric's tenure, sometimes the high point of the meetings would be a turkey raffle that was held. But it has gone on to help vet and nominate and elect some of the best elected officials in LA County and make LA County a very democratic county. And so we are recognizing his incredible work here today, and the proclamation for Eric is too long to read in full, but I will note that he was brought up by a single mom who was a nurse, who inspired him to also become a nurse, and in that capacity he recognized how important it was to improve health care and also to improve protections for the individuals that made up that workforce. And he became an activist in labor and on a host of other issues, which I am sure some of our other speakers will touch on, from labor to LGBTQ to so many other issues. And he's just been an amazing individual. We're lucky in the state Democratic Party to have him now running that operation, and we know we will be stronger and stronger. So I appreciate everything that you've done, Eric, and we're delighted to be here to recognize you. And now I'd like to invite our Council President, Herb Wesson, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. And you know, when I think about Eric, I think about you stabilized the county party. And you were like that. You know, all of us have an old robe we never want to throw out because it's so comfortable, and you've been that robe to us. You've been that calming force, that stabilizing force, and beloved. I think the one thing that we can rejoice in is that, you know, we have a pretty good guy in Mark. to follow you. But these shoes are huge, Mark, because, you know, you needed a minute. Eric would always give a minute. You needed this, you needed that. He was always there with sound counsel. He's been my friend for about 20 years, so I've had an opportunity to watch him grow and become the leader that he is today. And that's why I'm so proud when I discovered that you were going to move on to your next post, that I was one of the first people to call to let you know that I was going to be at your side, because you deserve that. And so we are fortunate, that the state of California is fortunate to have you now. And we taught you here in L.A. So don't forget that L.A. Don't forget us when you go to the big house. But anyway, man, you know, don't forget us.
I hope Chief Beck didn't hear
But
that.
but when you look at the diversity of the people that are here, just surrounding you, we are L.A. We are a city where we don't judge people based on the color of their skin or the religion they practice or who they love. I mean, you represent what we are. So we are so proud of you. And I was so honored when Mr. Koretz indicated that he wanted to bring you into this council, because this is the least that we can do, is to recognize you for your many, many, many years of service. So with that said, and if it's okay with you, Mr. Koretz, I'd like to now flip it over to Mr. Bonin from the great Council District number 11, and then we'll probably go around this horseshoe a little bit. Mr. Bonin, the floor is
Thank you,
yours.
Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Koretz, for doing this today. There are so many things people can say about Eric politically, and all the public policy stuff he's done and all the campaigns he's done. I just wanted to say a few notes about Eric personally, things that say something about who he is as a person. Three things. One, I think most of us have been to his annual holiday party at his home, that he and Michael open up the home. And every year for as long as I can remember, that is an occasion for people from all over the place to bring clothing and stuff to benefit and help the people who are homeless. And I always have respected that you've done that. Second thing I want to note is that if you talk to any Democratic activist who's come of age in the past 20 years, almost to a person, they will say, if they've reached out to Eric Bauman, who was a pretty big shot in the county party, he made time for lunch or coffee for them and sat down with them and talked to them about their future as an activist, how to be a good leader, how to engage. I mean, you really continuously invested in the next generation of our party and of our progressive movement. And the third thing I wanted to say is you, Eric, have given me the best and most important piece of personal advice I've gotten since I entered public life. When I was first becoming a candidate, I went and I sat down with you, and you told me, and you were quite insistent on it, that I make time for a date night once a week with my husband, then fiance. And Sean and I have done that ever since, probably about 98% of the time. Once a week, dinner together, a movie, going out somewhere, just the two of us, putting aside all of this stuff. And it has been vitally important to keeping my relationship strong and healthy, and I want to thank you for that advice, because it's made a huge difference to me. Thank you, Eric.
Mr. Koretz, I see that you have one of our dear colleagues standing up there with you, and you have the city's city attorney. Would you prefer that I call on one of them, or
Yeah,
how do
we
you
have
wanna
several
do
speakers up here, so that would be great.
Mr. President, just real quick.
Mr. Englander?
I just wanted to say a quick word, actually, if I could, and thank and congratulate Eric Bauman as well. And thank you. I've known you, worked with you for about 22 years now, which most people would be shocked about. And I think the biggest compliment that I can give you for me personally is for not messing with me. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Koretz, back to you.
Yes. Now, if we could ask our esteemed city attorney, Mike Fewer, to say a few words.
Mr. Fewer, welcome. Let's give
Thank you,
Michael a round of applause. Always good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, would like to join the shameless pandering with Eric Bauman. I want to just mention a couple of quick things, because there are many speakers. You know, Paul referred to Eric's background as a nurse. And I have to say, the thing that I hope, among many things, that Eric personifies for individuals of any party who are thinking about getting involved in politics is that Eric's desire to pursue politics is driven by his desire, arising from his work as a nurse and elsewhere, to pursue social activism in the highest and best way that he can. And for so many who look at politicians now and wonder what their motivations are, question whether there is integrity and quality in public service, there's Eric's example of identifying human needs and then trying to assure that in the public space we effectuate objectives that help people and change their lives and lift us up and make us better. Those are the qualities that I think make Eric stand out, have made him stand out as a leader here in the county, and will make him, I'm sure, be one of the most exceptional leaders at the state level that California has ever seen. So it's a real pleasure to be here, Eric, with you. Eric and I have known each other for well over 20 years. We've worked side by side on so many issues. The passion that you bring to the roles that you have played is something that every young person thinking about politics should look to as the best example. Congratulations.
Now I'd like to ask my colleague and yours, Bob Blumenfield, to say a few words.
Thank you. Eric, it's a pleasure to be here to honor you. But, Mr. President, I have to disagree with something you said about him. You mentioned him as this great stabilizing force.
No, he said destabilizing.
Yeah, when I think of this guy, I don't think of that. I think of someone who is constantly kicking you off your center and making people think. I mean, he is a firebrand when you hear him speak. And one of the reasons I love him in the way that he does that is he is constantly challenging you, and that's why he's such a fiery speaker. So stabilizing is the last thing I'd ever think of when I think of him. I've gotten to know him over the many years. I knew him actually before I ever ran for office, but I really got to know him when I first ran for office. And you talk about destabilizing. I went to go meet with him to ask for his support and endorsement, and I thought it would be a pretty simple thing. And he ran me through the ringer. Why do you want to run? How are you going to deliver on your promise? All of these things, which, of course, I hated at the time, but it was destabilizing in that sense. But it really did help make me think, and I appreciated that. So when he recently was running for party chair, I didn't do that to him. I just said, where do I sign up? Because I really believed that his progressive ideals, his commitment to creating a more inclusive party, the fight against nationalism and bigotry, if he could do 1/10 of what he's done at the local level, at the state level, we would be in incredible shape. So I was on board immediately. You know, a lot of people don't know he was inspired by his mother. He initially entered the medical profession to become a registered nurse. As I understand it, his mother also taught him how to pick out a good suit and tie, which he's lacking the tie today. I guess Mr. Bonin had an influence on him as well.
Yeah, Mr. Bonin's a bad influence.
You've got to respect the institution. I mean, what is he doing here? His partner and husband over 30 years, Michael Andrejczyk, is here with us today. He's also a registered nurse. Some people call him St. Michael because of his calm demeanor compared to Eric's more passionate and outspoken personality. And some people just say he's St. Michael because he's been with Eric for so long. They have a dog named Mo, yes, from the Three Stooges. Eric loves his Stooges. He loves him some Stooges. Although he doesn't work in the field of medicine anymore, he fought for decades for medical issues, for single-payer health care. He continues to be a driving force to help people get the health care that they need. He's always there for his friends to help them understand their medical diagnoses, lab results, and help them get second opinions. Everybody calls him up if they have a sprain or something. He's the cheapest doctor on the block.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that he also has a background in the music industry. He has a terrific singing voice. And he has an uncle who's kind of famous, Bowser, from Sha Na Na, yes. For the staff and interns in the room, that was from the old ages. It was a band that we all knew. But Eric, you are a mensch, a macher, a friend. Your dedication to this city, to this county, to this state is really unmatched, and we appreciate all that you do and all that we know that you will do to bring justice to this world and to do all that you do. So thank you, and congratulations on the honor today.
Mr. Koretz, are you going to, since I don't have notes, are you going to allow my fraternity brother to?
I think so. Next, we'd like to ask our former Assembly Speaker, John Perez, to say a few words.
All right. Good to see you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is indeed an honor to be here today as we celebrate Eric Bauman's career and his contributions to the city and the broader community. I just wish I didn't have to follow my friend Bob Blumenfeld, who did such a good job of drawing attention to some of the more humorous elements of Eric's existence. Eric and I have been best friends for going on 25 years. And it'll surprise none of you when you find out that we actually met at an endorsement meeting, first one he ever chaired, fighting about a candidate. And it got so heated that he adjourned the meeting just to make sure that I couldn't win the vote. I came back the next month to pay him back and to say I would haunt him, and I've been haunting him for the last 20-some years. When you look at his career, the issue of health care has been this consistent theme. His work as a registered nurse, as a nurse administrator, as a flight nurse, to be certain. But his life in public service has really focused on health care as well. Advising a governor, being Deputy Insurance Commissioner of the state of California. The last three speakers of the state of California have all called on him to help deal with a variety of issues, not the least of which how we deal with the crisis and the evolving challenges of providing health care in an affordable, accessible way to all the people of our state. When you look at each of the significant moves forward that we've made as a state, leading the nation in this effort, Eric's fingerprints are on each of those pieces of legislation. As has been noted, his fingerprints have also been marked on some of the key pieces of legislation that have expanded civil rights and our basic notions of civility and humanity in the state. And when I think of Eric's work, I really do think of it as a work both in politics and in public service to effectuate an outcome of justice. And when I think of justice, I think of the words in Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail, where he contemplates what it is that makes a law just or unjust. And in the end, he calls on the writings of Thomas Aquinas, where he says that any law that upholds human personality is just, and that any law that denigrates human personality is unjust. That really is the guiding principle of the work that Eric has been involved with his entire life. And at this moment in our democracy, and at this moment in our society, there is no greater challenge than reminding ourselves of this need to work together for justice and to bring people together in a way that truly upholds all expressions of human personality. And nobody personifies that work more than Eric does. Now, it would not be fair to end on a serious note, so on Eric's behalf, I ask one thing. He has achieved great success in many political endeavors, but the one thing he's failed to do is get a traffic light at the corner of Goodland and Victory Boulevard. And so if you're truly going to honor his work, I ask that you consider, Mr. Krikorian, the traffic light at the corner of Victory and Goodland. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, unfortunately, we had the general manager of the Department of Transportation here just a minute ago. I just missed her. I'm so sorry, Eric.
I have another member on the queue, Mr. Koretz. I'd like to recognize Mr. Root.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for recognizing that all politics is local. But I rise to welcome, congratulate, and honor the chairman of the California Democratic Party, my chairman. I still remember the first time I heard him speak. It was at Plummer Park in one of the Democratic activist training sessions, and that was some 10, 15 years ago. And I thought he was kind of mild-mannered. That was before he spoke. And then he spoke, and I was just blown away. And ever since then, I've always enjoyed hearing him speak because it was so passionate, so full of fire. And I too also remember when I was a candidate, because I remember being in his office, but more than being grilled, it was his eyes, his piercing eyes. I mean, if he was like melting you. And I remember I stood my ground, and at the end of it, he said, I think you're going to do all right because I was staring at you and you stood up to it. And truth be told, I was fortunate to get his support and the Democratic Party support in my campaign as well. And it's been such an honor throughout the years. I mean, this is inevitable that you would become our chairman of the California Democratic Party. And I was first and center the minute I knew this was going to happen, I wanted to support. And it's not just what you do, but it's the fostering of leadership that you do. Like in our new chairman of the LA County Democratic Party, Mark Gonzalez, who you groomed through the years, so we're safe. And, I'm just only upset about one thing today. And I know probably all the other members are upset too. We're upset I'm upset because I can't believe Councilman Koretz thought of this first. We should have been all of us that did this. But thank you, Councilman Koretz and Councilman Blumenfield, for honoring and bringing our chairman up today. Thank you.
Mr. Koretz is very quick. Okay, don't think that he's not. No, he had this locked in. So, Mr. Koretz, back to you.
And now I'd like to introduce the man of the hour on Eric Bauman Day, Eric Bauman.
Give him a round of applause.
When John Perez became the Speaker, one of the first things I said to him is, be careful for all those people who invite you and give you awards. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the job title. But this strikes me as extraordinarily heartfelt. And I want to say this. When I came to Los Angeles in 1975, I was about as broken as one could be. I had no future, I had no education, I had no opportunities. And Los Angeles and California gave me a life, an extraordinary life. And so I built my life about giving that back. And I built my life around the Talmudic, the Torah precept, V'ahavta le'arecha kimocha. Love your neighbor, love your fellow as yourself. And that's what we do. Because at this time in this place, with 47,000 homeless people on the streets right around this neighborhood, with tens of thousands of people dying still because of the lack of good health care, with thousands and thousands of people burned out of their homes in Northern California, with us practically on the verge with war with North Korea. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep making the struggle. We have to keep trying to make life better for everybody. And that's what you all do. And that's what our party should do. And that's what we have to do. I've been very lucky. For 35 years, I've been blessed to have Michael by my side. For the last 18 years, I've been blessed to have Adam as my partner in all my political endeavors. John is my best friend, lo, these many years. And look at this array of people standing around me. These are my friends. This is my life. This is California. And all of us share one thing in common, and I believe you all share that too. That is the hope and the desire that we can bring justice to our world, tzedek, that we can heal this world, that we can make this a better place. Because if we don't do it, there won't be another generation coming up behind us to do it. So, to be honored for what I view as giving back, to be honored for a position that I took not to make me powerful, but for me to empower the powerless, that's something so special, something so unexpected, and all I can say to all of you is thank you, and let's keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And now it's my honor on behalf of the City Council and the City of Los Angeles to declare today Eric Bauman Day in the City of Los Angeles.
All right.
Well, thank you, everybody. And now I think we'll go back to take a few pictures.
So I want to recognize Mr. Englander as they're exiting, and then you can prepare for your presentation.
Come on. Seriously? Oh.
That's my cousin Mary.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
She moved back from the Midwest here, now I'm going back to the Midwest.
We're gonna wait for some of them to clear out a little bit before we start. So we'll take a pause while they're getting in the back there. Yeah, all right.
Photo.
Oh, man.
It's going to retire this. You're going to have to retire the whole thing.
I am. 38 years, where's it gone?
38 years.
I don't know.
1979?
80, I joined in, well,
80, 79.
started the organization in 79, officially became a member in 80.
Wow. And now Iowa.
Iowa, here I come.
Why Iowa? You know what Iowa stands for? You guys know what Iowa stands for? Idiots out wandering around. Iowa. My wife is from Iowa, from Cedar Rapids. She taught me that one. That's the only reason I can reuse it, particularly when it's not in her presence.
I'm sure everybody here had to drive downtown today, right?
Yeah,
that's a big reason why I'm going to Iowa.
Iowa. So I once went to Iowa.
Mr. Englander?
Yeah, the one time I went to Iowa, we drove for like 2 hours, and I woke up in the car and it looked like we were in the exact same place.
Cornfields.
Kid you not. Mr. President, colleagues, moments ago, we celebrated and honored an individual we all know. Somebody who most people who are involved, really involved, or even slightly involved in politics, in governance and government throughout the state of California, they know Eric Bauman. But we're only as good as those we don't know, that most people don't know, those true unsung heroes, those ones who volunteer courageously, tirelessly, for no recognition that nobody often in government or governance knows. Those ones who take the call at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning at a moment's notice for decades to serve. For those who put their lives on the front line to help our first responders, to help those most vulnerable that never do a press interview, that never get their name in the paper, that never walk into the halls of government, but walk into tragedies when nobody's looking. That's who we're honoring today. Rick Nemec. Rick has been part of the California Mobile Patrol. And let me just, before I even talk a little bit about Rick, who's been a dear friend, let me tell you about CEMP. And I know you've all heard of them, but you may not be aware of everything they do. They were founded 55 years ago in 1962. It's strictly a 100% volunteer organization dedicated to emergency responders. They're the ones that provide critical assistance in search and rescue, in light details. They stand by medical, evidence search, arson watch, canine search and tracking, evacuation support, disaster response, traffic control, body recovery, and much more. They work with Los Angeles Police Department, Fire Department, our park rangers, our county police, the LA County Sheriff's Department, and many community events. We've got an individual that's dedicated 38 years to CEMP. And Rick is retiring from CEMP and moving to Iowa. It doesn't even have a ring to it. Like moving to Iowa. The people that I meet from Iowa are people moved out of Iowa. But anyway, my wife is from Iowa, so Mr. Kokorian knows that. So he's looking at me like, be careful. She's probably listening. Happy, that's right.
I've learned.
Happy wife, happy life. And it's cheaper to keep her. Okay, so in any event, Rick has joined. He joined CEMP when I was just 9 years old in 1979. He actually received his badge after his training in 1980. He was 21 years old. He still looks 21 years old. He spent all of his adult life serving our community while also raising a family and running a local business. His tenure, in fact, included serving on the board of directors, including 8 years as the team's operation officer. One of the most critical positions on the team, he was instrumental in effecting the vehicle conversions to mission-ready status, often calling us because he needed money for paint, supplies, a new vehicle, brakes, a transmission, you name it. And also they can volunteer to help. He used his own mechanical expertise to keep the vehicles operational and did so on a shoestring budget. Now, over the years, Rick became familiar with operations of all first responders and earned the respect, as you see here today, from the highest-ranking top officials of the Los Angeles Police Department. He gained a deep understanding of CEMP resources and capabilities and committed and relied on all the outstanding CEMP members who are also here today. He's known for his can-do attitude and smiling all the time, being an inspiration to all the team members and spending countless hours helping everyone. So, just a brief, quick highlight of some of the events that he actually responded to, showed up for, signed up, suited up, and participated in. He was there for the 1984 Olympics all day and all night. He was here for the Pope's visit in 1987, calming the crowds and making sure everyone was safe. He responded to the LA riots and the 94 earthquake. In fact, he located a survivor that he saved out of the Northridge Meadows complex after it collapsed. He was at the 2000 Democratic Convention, and while all the folks that were up here moments ago were inside, he was outside, making sure everyone was safe. and responding to first aid. He was one of the first responders at the Chatsworth Metrolink train collision. He also works the annual 50,000 person, the largest annual 4th of July gathering in the city of Los Angeles. I like to bring that up all the time. In CD12. Hey. As well as the countless brush fires, valley floods, crime scenes, fatal traffic collisions throughout Los Angeles, he's one of the first responders to show up, and he's one of the last to leave. Rick's contributions made CEMP, no doubt, what it is today. We're retiring officially SR 34, his number, which will never be used again, in honor of Rick, and as a token, as an example of appreciation for what he's done to the city. He will be honored and placed in the CEMP Hall of Fame. And we want to thank you from all of us because of what you've done, because of the support from Terry, your wife, from Faye, your mom who's here, from Mike, your brother, Kathy, Amber, your daughter. These are the folks where he actually missed holidays, birthdays, special events, plays at school, not because he was getting paid, not because he was sacrificing, not only because it was his job to bring home a paycheck, but because he did it for free, because he was making sure we had the support. When I talk about the quiet ones, the ones that do it for no recognition, the ones that do it while all equally for the same reasons, you think about the giants among us, that people like Rick, and Rick specifically, for what you've done, to the thousands of lives that you've touched, that you've saved, that you've helped. It's immeasurable. And so with that, I want to make sure we give Rick, his family, a phenomenal send-off to Iowa. And to say thank you for your dedication to all of the Angelinos. You are truly, truly an angel amongst us, and we wish you the best. So a round of applause for Rick Kendall. Before we've got a few people to say a few words, but before I give you an official resolution signed by all of us, I'd like to bring up Paul Burley to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Mitch. That's a tough act to follow. Members of the council, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come here today and celebrate the achievements that Rick has had, his 38 years of selfless service to the citizens of Los Angeles. Mitch told a joke a few minutes ago about what Iowa stands for, because he said, I can do that because my wife is from Iowa. I will change one of the words for that joke, but the joke is that Iowa stands for individuals out wandering around. And I think that is very apropos for Rick because he's so good at what he does in search and rescue. So my sense is, although he's retiring from our team here in Los Angeles, my sense is that he's probably going to be nosing around wherever he lives in Iowa to find out what he can do there.
I'm going to try not to.
And, no, I suspect that's not going to be the case, Rick. I don't think we can begin to appreciate how difficult it's going to be to fill Rick's shoes. Those shoes can't be filled by one person or even 10 people doing all the things that Rick has done over the years for our team. His institutional knowledge about the city of Los Angeles, about the team, about the operations of the team, how we function, who to talk to, that's irreplaceable. And we have all been looking at each other wondering, how are we going to survive without Rick? Because whenever a problem comes up, it was always, gee, call Rick, he'll know. What makes his contributions to the team so special is his passion for what he does for us and for the city of Los Angeles. His experience is second to none. When CEMP has been around, as Mitch said, for 55 years, and we go through a pretty rigorous training process. We train for about a year before we become members. We're SARTEC certified, we're NASAR certified, we take communications classes, we're trained. But all the training in the world doesn't help you sometimes in a real-world situation, because sometimes when you're faced with a crisis, you can be very smart and have a lot of training, but little experience, and as I'm sure some people in this room know, sometimes people get paralyzed in a crisis, paralyzed with indecision. And Rick is not one of those people. Rick has assessed situations and made common sense decisions when things were going south. And an example that I have, about 10 years ago, I was driving one of our rigs back from the Pasadena triathlon. We did a medical standby event there, and I was driving one of our ambulances, and along with one of my partners here, and I'm driving down the 118 freeway, and I smell smoke. And I looked down, and I saw that there was smoke coming up from the dashboard of the rig that I was driving, and I thought, this can't be good. So I knew Rick was somewhere behind me, so I radioed him and told him what was going on. He said, I'll call the fire department, pull over, and I'll be right there. So my partner and I, we pulled the ambulance over. By this time, there was a lot of smoke billowing out from underneath the dashboard, and there were flames coming out from the hood. We jumped out, we grabbed the oxygen tanks, and sat back and waited for fire to show up. Rick shows up and said, did you guys get the radios? And I said, no, the truck's on fire. And he kind of gave me a dirty look, and he ran over to the truck, and he walked around real quick, and he assessed the situation. He opened the door of the cab, and he climbed in. He disappeared in the smoke, and he was in there for about 30 seconds. And I'm thinking, this guy's nuts. And he came out triumphant with a big grin on his face and a radio in each hand. He says, I got the radios. I thought Rick was crazy for doing that, because I wouldn't have gone in there. But as I've come to know Rick over the years, he looks at these situations and he makes very quick decisions. And I know that he looked at that and he determined that it was safe for him to do what he did. And I wish all of our team members had the sensibilities that he has when those situations arise. As Mitch mentioned, Rick has kept our vehicles running for all of the years that we've been in existence. He was instrumental in making sure that we were able to get fire department rigs that were donated to us, along with a small payment by us to the city of Los Angeles for those rigs. He took those rigs and he had them painted, he gutted them, and he equipped them. Oh, we got a call out. He gutted them, he had them painted, and he equipped them with all of the equipment that we need. And that, I don't know who's going to replace that. I don't know who's going to do that at this time. He has spent numerous hours training individuals on our team. He has purchased and configured all of our team radios, every one of our radios. A lot of people on the team they don't know how the digital radio works or how repeater systems work, but Rick has intimate knowledge about that. He has taken care of all of our FCC licenses over the years. He has maintained our repeaters up on Oat Mountain and Saddleback. Is it Saddleback? Saddle Peak. I don't know who's going to be doing that. He's in the process of training other people. We may be calling him up and putting him on a plane and having him come out if we have any problems. But when I first joined the team, we would do a lot of triathlons and trail races out in Malibu. And our communications were very spotty because it's so mountainous. And he talked the team into buying some repeaters. And so from then on, when I would be out there at 5 a.m., we'd muster for our event. We'd go, where's Rick? Oh, he's climbing a tree on the top of some mountain putting up a repeater antenna. And sure enough, he was. And so, I just want to thank Rick. It's hard to encapsulate 38 years of what you have done in a short 5 to 10 minute presentation. But Rick, you have been an inspiration for all of us, and I want to thank you for your years of dedication to our team. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And we also have a number of people from Los Angeles Police Department, including Captain Brian Liam. We also have Chief Sherman. But here to say a few words on all of their behalf is our Assistant Chief Mike Moore. Chief.
Thank you.
There you are.
Oh, there we are, behind you.
Always got my back.
There you go. Good afternoon, or I'm sorry, good morning, everyone. On behalf of Chief Charlie Beck, I want to first of all thank this council for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the men and women of LAPD as we say our congratulations and thanks to this man. in thinking about everything that's been said here, I reflect back on CEMP and their role in the San Fernando Valley over these past, in my experience, 35 plus years. And I've seen them consistently grow and mature and develop as a true volunteer organization that is so much more than just volunteerism. And the San Fernando Valley in this city is known throughout the country for a community that works and engages its city government to make our community safe, to make our neighborhoods safer to live and reside and exist in this great state. CEMP is that on steroids, because it's not just volunteerism, and it's not just a passion, but they have invested through the decades of time in continuing to improve their services and continuing to improve their abilities to perform in very tough and dangerous environments. And in LAPD and our partners with fire in all of city government, we come to these emergencies and we have many times more volunteers than competencies. And CEMP has always represented the best, that when they step into the situation, they are an able partner. They're someone we can depend on, that we can rely upon to go out and do the work that is going to that's going to resolve a situation and improve the lives. Here today I'm joined by former Deputy Chief for the San Fernando Valley, Bob Green, current Deputy Chief John Sherman, Captain Brian Liam from the Devonshire area, and Lieutenant Tim Torsney. Each of them represent a body of knowledge about their engagements with CMP. And so today is a frankly concerning point, because as we've talked about their improvement over time, their deepening of their resources, this man here has been pivotal to that. He's been the person that has identified the opportunities, and not just identified, but moved into that breach and filled it with his ingenuity, with his remarks as has been characterized, his ability to think on his feet, to use common sense that's not always common, and the passion and commitment to see it through. He's challenged his team members to be better. He's recognized when they've fallen short. He's not just simply a cheerleader. And because of that, responsible actions on his part, CMP today is in one of its best positions it's ever been. Its radio communications capabilities, its logistical capabilities are matched by the competency of the people in it. So as he leaves, we have a void to fill. And I'm hopeful that we'll find the next generations that's going to step into that void. On behalf of the LAPD and the men and women, we say thank you for the countless hours, the constant commitment. To the family, we say thank you. We recognize that these call-outs, that where is he going now? What's he doing now? It never looks good on television, and he's somewhere behind the scenes making it work. And so we say thank you for that, for making that commitment to us and that sacrifice. You're as much a part of this recognition today as he is. God bless you as you move into Iowa. I think there's a challenge. The challenge there is when you think what happens in the San Fernando Valley, we've had a number of challenges. Everything's short of two things, though: locusts and tornadoes. So I think you're going to have a new adventure in Iowa.
Forgot about the winters.
And yeah, there's going to be some challenges there. But I know you're up for it,
Thanks,
and God
Chief.
bless you.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Locusts and tornadoes. Wow. So on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, Rick, we have a token of appreciation, a resolution declaring this day your day here in Los Angeles, and signed by all of us.
Do I have to share that with the person?
And we only wish you the best. Your dedication is just, again, unparalleled. You've touched so many lives and have done so much to you and your family. We'd like to ask you to say a few words now.
Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it. Chiefs, Captain, Lieutenant, City Council, I'd really just like to say it's been a great 38 years. It's been a lot of fun. To my family that's here, my other teammates, it's been a blessing to work with all these people, and I'm going to miss it. I really am after 38 years. But I really like to thank Devonshire Division for being our home for the last 50-some-odd years, and for the City Council and Mitch, for everybody, for helping us out with supplies and things over the years. It's really it's really been a big help to this organization. And thank you very much for this recognition.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Englander.
We're going to take everybody, if we could, real quick, back to the media room. We'll go this way. We'll take a quick photo here. A quick photo here, then we'll go back to the media room.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Herstassen, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson. 11 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, approval of the minutes. Mr. Krikorian moves and Mr. Price seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Englander moves and Ms. Rodriguez second. Next.
Madam President, today is Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
If I can please ask Ms. Rodriguez to please lead us in our flag salute this morning. Members of the public, can we please all rise for our flag salute? Thank you.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's run through the agenda, please.
Madam President, there is a request to continue item 1E for 2 weeks to November 21st.
Okay, without objection, that will be the order. Next.
Items 1 through 6 are items noticed for public hearing.
Okay, do we have any cards, members? Or are there any specials?
There are cards on all items 1 through 6.
Thank you. Okay, what's the next item?
Items 7 through 19 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Members, are there any specials on these items? Mr. Bonnet, did you have a special? No? Oh, I thought I heard you say yes.
Open the roll.
Let's go ahead and vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, what's next?
Items 20 through 23 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are before us, members. Do we have any cards, Madam Clerk?
Yes, there are cards on all items 20 through 23.
Any specials by any council member?
Madam President, that takes council back to items called special or general public comment.
Okay, let's go ahead and take some speakers up. Our first speaker is Mr. Previn. Mr. Previn, are you here? Good morning, sir. The items you've signed up to speak on are items 1A, 1B, 1C, item 3, 4, 5, 6, 21, 22, 23, and general public comment. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinez. As you know, there'll be a police commission meeting in your district tonight, so people should be aware of that in Van Nuys. Item number 1 is your traditional lien item, and today, a heartbreaking little saga at 1E where a very elderly gentleman came in. His son had been working on the car in their driveway. They've been living there for 40 years. They're being penalized for over $1,000, and we would ask Councilmember Englander in West Hills to find a way to at least eliminate all of those horrible penalties and not force the elderly gentleman to come back down here. It is heartbreaking to witness this kind of thing when they really feel they didn't break the law at all. We're completely restoring a car. I mean, is that illegal in America? I don't think so. So thank you for looking into that one personally. We do appreciate it. Item number 2 I thought was really interesting because you've got Eagle Rock liquor license, which is cool, but you know we're going all over the place setting up hearings for liquor licenses. Are we going to be doing the same for marijuana license? At the county on the agenda today, they do have some kind of a provision for that. But I think that since Herb Wesson is going to be a lion's share of the authority in that space, we should put a civilian oversight commission to monitor his behavior since he runs this meeting like some kind of a violation of everybody's rights. And I will say this, Bauman, who is the head of the California Democratic Party, is a well-respected man, but he's a guy who has been in the trenches with the Angelinos. Believe me, we know Krikorian will remember. Oh, he's left wisely. And I know Mr. Rue certainly knows the capabilities of this man when he is focused. It is astonishing. It is truly astonishing. Item number 8, finally, we're dealing with the ADA placards. Now,
Madam President, item 8 has already been voted on.
I'm sorry?
You need to speak to the items, sir.
No,
the items that you signed up to speak on, that's what you need to speak on.
But
You
this
know
is the
rules,
ADA
Mr. Perrin.
placard
Come on.
fraud? We're not going to talk about that? Okay.
That item has already been voted on.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for voting on it promptly.
Mr. Perrin.
Appreciate
Go
that.
ahead.
Thank you. Okay, fine. Certainly, the transportation item regarding, I mean, am I allowed to speak about David Rue in the New York Times and all of the excitement that he's brought to this city by finally blocking tourists from getting up into the hills with
Madam
noisy-
President, the speaker is not on an item.
Well, you make it tough, I must say, because how about 22? Certainly, Englanders cha-ching for the 5-mile radius surrounding Sunshine Landfill. This is a guy who takes the community benefit money from the Sunshine Landfill, which, because of where he's located, is prodigious. I mean, a lot of money pours off, and he gives it to the OT, to the police. So this is why they function the way they do out there. But is that really what the residents who want a community, is that, it is a community benefit to have law enforcement. Certainly in my district, we are sorely lacking in what I think would be the improvement. I know Bonin is constantly bellyaching about not having enough patrols, finding ways to secure that. Okay.
Go ahead. You have one minute for your general public comment, Mr. Previn. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm not going to be able to talk about the ADA placards, but I just wanted to say that I did speak to a member of the public who is supportive of not closing the loophole so that city employees can continue to get placards. Now, the one thing that I think Koretz or somebody brought up was there's no limit to replacements. You've come up with 10 key points, but not limiting the number of replacements. I think that would be a great start, Mr. Bond. I know you've been up in transportation with Ms. Reynolds on that one. In terms of Bauman, you know, this is a guy who presides over a party which doesn't really want a discussion. They want to anoint leaders to whom they like. I know Cara Robin in Bonin's district had a Mayor Garcetti little round group, but no other candidates except for Schwartz, the fake guy. And then when Krikorian and I were running against one another, I met with a group of people. I said, well, that was nice. Who are those people from the Democratic Party? And Bauman stood behind the San Fernando Valley Democrats and said, we're not going to tell you. So that's not democratic. That's not cool. And though he is a good fighter, he has to include, if this Democratic Party wants to thrive and survive, and
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Previn.
Okay, well, good luck with
Let's move on to our next speaker. Herman, are you here? Armando Herman is not in the room. Mr. Walsh? Mr. Walsh, I'm going to remind you, you filled out cards to speak on items 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, item number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20A, 20B, 21, 22, and 23. Go ahead, sir.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential. Number 1, nuisance abatement. You do a good job on nuisance abatement. ABC. Number 2. Okay, number 2 is the previous speaker said it's cool. It's cool to grant liquor licenses. You never turn down a liquor license. This city has the worst hit and run rate of any city in America, and it has more liquor licenses than any other city. There's a correlation here, but you don't give a rat's ass about it, and you'll just flick off and another. This one is at North Eagle Rock, 10, 20, 30, 100, and of course the city council is for it, and so are the scumbag press that doesn't do their job. And 3, 4, 5, 6, This is maintenance of street lighting. You do a good job on that. See, when you do a good job, I say you do a good job. I'm not one of those white guys that say, you're on a bunch of crooks, you're on a bunch of crooks. That's not me. When you do a good job, I say you did a good job. And you do a good job on, rent escrow. You do a good job on that. 21, this is California about CEQA. This is handing money over to building and safety commissioners and improving an application for, this is 2,571 cubic yards of dirt. And we're moving this rather than have the developer move it. That's what it looks like to me. And police services, I just want everyone to know, if you live south of Hollywood Boulevard, you don't get any kind of police services. Here is additional police services, Council District 12, within 5 miles of the Sunshine Canyon landfill. In other words, when you are in the Republican district, which is Mitch England's district, you get anything you want. But if your skin is black, stay back. Stay back, stay back. And who should know more about racism than someone with white skin? After all, we invented racism, didn't we? And handed it over to black people.
Mr. Walsh, you have your 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
Okay. Outside, you spent tens of thousands of dollars erecting a gigantic stage with lights for the Dodger victory celebration. The victory, who authorized it? I can't find anyone who authorized the thousands and thousands of dollars you spent. But what happened was the Dodgers lost. And you spent the next day dismantling this gigantic stage. I want to know who spent the money, how the money was spent. I want to see the bills, and I want to know who's paying for what happened. We're talking about the Dodgers lost, and you took down the entire set for their victory celebration. And that cost thousands and thousands of dollars, but no one gives a rat's ass about it. Not the mayor, nobody, including the LA Times and scumbag David Zanizer.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Our next speaker is Wayne Spindler.
Okay, Mr. Spindler has items. Can we get Mr. Spindler up?
I want Nori to chair the meeting. She's nice. She treats
I
me
need
nice,
Mr.
even
Spindler
on
on
the
the.
board.
Now I have it. Okay, you have 1 A, B, C, D, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 A, B, 21, 22, 23 in general public comment. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Now, remember, you got the mean guy up there.
Yes. 1A. We don't want that in CD6.
No more liens, no more liens. 1A. 7900 North Ostrom Avenue. Boy, it's a big lien. $11,652. This is huge. One of the largest liens I've seen in CD6 in quite a long time. Please reduce. Do what you can. 1B is interesting. That's on Woodlawn Avenue in CD9. That's where the Honorable Curran Price lives with his wife in the chicken coop down the street. So they are like our neighbors. CD9, Woodlawn, is beautiful, beautiful people, like farming. Please forgive your neighbor's lien for $8,185. These are people with a capital P. Now we got CD7D, 14950 West Polk Street.
Monica.
CD7, forgive the lien, $1,581. I know, Monica, you can do it. Now, the other ones are C and E, but that's in CD 12, and Englander don't give a fuck about it. So now we get to number 2, which is alcoholic beverages. You want to talk about that?
Yes. On behalf of all the children that get killed by your alcohol license, fuck you. We don't want your liquor license. No more liquor licenses in Eagle Rock. Yes, because Eagle Rock has too many liquor licenses. They drive crazy down those fucking streets. They run over kids with skateboards. They run over kids with puppets like me. So you hear this? You know that's that fucking liquor license on number 2. The blood is on your hands when you vote yes. Vote fucking no.
Good. Number 3, the EIR. Yes, I've read this EIR. Porter Ranch Development Company. The EIR is defective. Problem. They own Mitchell Englander, so it will pass. I'm sorry, Porter Ranch. You got fucked again by Mitchell Englander's $1 million debt for his run for the council. Now we got number 6. Lighting district, yes. More lights for CD6. More lights for drug use, yes. So now the party will begin. Join us tonight at 6:30 at the Van Nuys City Hall building, the very place that Herb Wesson falsely accused me of a threat. The LAPD Commission meets tonight on the stomping ground. Front page, Daily News, whistleblower lawsuit. Latina captain blows the whistle. Charlie Beck underreporting crimes by over 10%. This fine captain, this fine lady has sued the city with a Jewish lawyer in Beverly Hills. And you know what Charlie Beck did, Nuri? He cut the Van Nuys funding for our police services because of this whistleblower. Read about it in the Daily News. Thank you, Daily News. Good journalism. We need a new police chief. Fire Chief Beck. Fuck the police.
Okay, thank you. Now we want to vote on item 1. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, we're going to go through now items 2 through 6. Please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now let's bring up Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman has items 20, A and B, 21, 22, 23, and general public comment.
Let's go on record, folks. It's time that on item 20, motion 20, over 20, not under 20, well, let's speak about protests on rent escrow. The most current problem in the news is we can't afford rent. And how does rent escrow protect you in your home? It satisfies the Department of Building and Safety from fucking you out of a home. So that's rent escrow for the record. Let's go to 21. And 21 states for the record, and I'll read it specifically under 42 U.S.C. 1983 CD 13. My favorite number. Under the California Environmental Quality Act, guidelines of Article 3, Section 1, Class Category 1 are not exempt. There shall be no representative under Item 1 based on the provisions of Building and Safety's Commission and Commissioners in approving any application due to the, no, I won't say cadet sexual harassment, but the export of 2.571 cubic motherfucking yards of dirt out of our fucking country. Stay on topic. Let me reframe that, ladies and gentlemen. Now that we, the Americans, know for a fact CEQA number invoice 207172414CE, whatever the fuck that commission number means to you and me, is irrelevant. For this reason, no community impact statement, you stupid fucking schmucks. Then I go into CD12, the Dibble Dwarf, who walked out on me yesterday and brought Batman back to Los Angeles to deal with the racist motherfuckers on the motion of Englander. And I won't talk about the other bitches, but I'm relative to funding additional police. Fuck the police. Services, well, cadets, young women 15 years and under are being fucked by the police. Recommendation of the mayor, $25,000. No. Council District 12 has a sexual offender, Mitchell Englander, in his sexual
Stay on
harassment.
the topic. Stay on the topic.
Police issue.
Let's go to his general public comment.
Now you see, folks, the real issue is about the lying LAPD. So if you're able to attend to the bat time of Van Nuys at 6:30, Chief Charlie Beck is on the record stating that there are no crimes, there are no business of people being harmed in Los Angeles.
But you know the goddamn truth. The truth will set you free. If you're not black, stay back. If you're not brown, fucking come here and clown around. But if you're like me, a white nigger Jew hanging on a tree in America, this is how you protest. 42 U.S.C. 1983 for the record. Fuck you, Herman. And 42 U.S.C. 12101 in addition to my fuck you request. Fuck you!
Thank you. All right.
And for the record, Mr. President, the ordinances for items 3 through 6 will be held over to November 21st.
Okay. Madam City Attorney, why don't we deal with item 21? I think you need to make an announcement, or?
Yes, item 21 is a fair hearing item. However, the parties have resolved their issues and the appellant has withdrawn their appeal, and so it's recommended that council receive and file the item.
Okay, well, let's receive and file. Let's open the roll. In fact, we don't need to vote.
You'll need a motion.
I will make that motion, seconded by Mr. Price. Now let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Now let's go to items 20, 22, and 23. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's before this body?
General public comment.
Rob Kwan and Jacqueline Richardson. Miss Richardson, if you're here. Mr. Kwan, if you're here, please come forward. Yes, sir.
Last week at the Immigrant Affairs Committee, Councilmember Martinez was the only one to bring up LAPD's review of Special Order 40. I wanted to thank her for that, possibly ensured that we're going to have the City Council get involved in that process, even at an advisory level. That kind of got me thinking about this whole year. Wanted to thank Councilmember Harris Dawson. When the Justice Fund was up for a vote, he spoke about the shortcomings of our system and the need for criminal justice reform. Councilmember Wesson, you ensured that vote didn't go off the rails. Want to thank Councilmember O'Farrell for work on Indigenous Peoples Day. Councilmember Krikorian, commitment to representative government. Want to thank Councilmember Bonin. Your words of empathy on the Justice Fund, on Indigenous Peoples Day, really meant a lot. You were the only dissenting vote on the previous vote to restrict protest. I view that as highly unconstitutional. Appreciate that. And you've ensured that the progressive spirit of Councilmember Rosendahl lives on in these chambers. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kwan. Ms. Richardson, please come forward.
I accuse the Russians of these things: making people lose their homes for little or no reason or for inconsequential reasons. These problems need to be resolved. Messing with the vote. They falsified the vote themselves by using robots or holographs, by the use of dead people's names, and by statements such as this: I'm not going to vote for anybody. And they didn't, because it was impossible. Coming here with GR checks, food stamps, social security numbers, and driver's license before they get into the United States or before they are tested or examined for need. The final one for today is tying up rental housing by individuals renting more than one unit for themselves so that others cannot get into the units, thereby tying up the rental market. They themselves get much of the low-cost housing, and thereby the rents get raised.
Thank you. So that closes general public comment. That brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They're posted, they're referred. Announcements, members? Announcements, I don't see any. If all in the council chambers would please rise. If all in the council chambers would please rise for adjourning motions. I'm going to look to my left side, Mr. Englander's side. I don't see any. Looking to my right side. I don't see any. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No sounds, Mr. Spindler or Mr. Herman. The floor now belongs to Mr. Koretz. Go ahead, Mr. Koretz.
Just for the record, both of them were snorting in the audience. So.
I got them. They've been warned. Go ahead. Mr. Spindler, come on. Go on, Mr. Koretz.
It is with a heavy heart that we remember Aaron Cohen of Century City, who passed away November 2nd. He was a longtime friend of the Century City community and a founding member of the Century City Chamber of Commerce. Aaron was the husband of Sandra Cohen, father of Ariel Cohen, David Cohen, and Leora Cohen Bennett, and he was the grandfather of 5 children and 4 great-grandchildren. Aaron was born in Bulgaria, where he witnessed the Nazi occupation. He spoke many times at the Holocaust Museum about the miracle of being assembled to board trains for the concentration camps.
Mr. Koretz, stop. Herman, I know that you love to disrupt this meeting, which you just did at the end of the meeting. Sergeants, remove him. No, just leave. You're just so disrespectful, and you disrupt the meeting. And he's still shouting as he's exiting the council chambers. Mr. Koretz, would you please continue?
If the puppet and Mr. Spindler would stop bleeding so that I could do that, I would appreciate it. Anyway, Aaron spoke many times at the Holocaust Museum about the miracle of being assembled to board trains for the concentration camps when the clergy from the Bulgarian church interceded to save Jewish lives, including his own. From there, Cohen boarded a train to Palestine along with other Jewish youths. He joined a kibbutz and began training with the elite military Palmach. Cohen was part of the founding of Israel. They were surrounded by 5 armies and fought to obtain a victory for the state of Israel. From there, Cohen came to America and began working for Mary Pickford, cleaning her home and office buildings. He was introduced to the owner of Buckeye, who owned a lot of real estate, and Cohen then procured the contract to clean all of those buildings, and that led to his building one of the largest janitorial companies in America. Funeral services for Aaron Cohen are being held today, November 7th at 3 p.m. at the Eden Memorial Park in Mission Hills, and Rabbi David Volpe will officiate.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. I don't see any other adjourning motions. This meeting is adjourned.